John Cola with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I actually got an old friend that actually used to live with me literally way back in the day. And we go way back. We don't talk too much anymore. He's busy with his life, and I'm busy with my life, doing my stuff. And he's actually got a whole family now, which actually I'm kind of envious of. And he's gone through some health opportunities lately, including getting parts of his body removed. So I wanted to have him in a video to explain kind of what happened. And I want to ask him some questions about what happened to him, you know, to find out actually maybe what was the cause so that you could save your guys' body parts from getting cut out. So that does not have to happen to you. So in this episode, actually, we got Matt Monarch of the Raw Food World TV show.
Can you see me right now?
Yeah, you know, YouTube channel. I'll put a link down to his YouTube channel. You can check out all his, you know, things that he makes and says and all his crazy stuff, his crazy world. So Matt, welcome. And the first thing I want you guys tell everybody about yourself, how long you've been raw foods, and actually maybe a story about me and you when we first met. I don't know, whatever. Okay.
I was on a 100% raw food diet for 23 years before I went off of it. I'm sure we'll talk about that today. I was working at MTV Networks in New York City when I went 100% raw. I won't go into that, but I decided to quit my job after going raw. I was like going through some crazy changes. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And I decided to go to the biggest raw food festival of the year at the time. And so I went to the biggest raw food website message board to learn more about things. And it happened to be John Kohler's here. And I was just like looking to find stuff to do. And in the raw foods movement, I wanted to make a career in it. It was like everything to me at that point. And John was very gracious and took me in and actually moved into his house. And I met him at the festival. I met all the authors of all the books at the festivals. It was really cool. I gravitated to certain people. Other people gravitate towards other people. It was a lot of fun. And so then I just moved to Northern California, working for discountjuicers.com for like 6 months, I think it was. Yeah, that's how we met. And the beginning of my days. So you've been doing this even longer than me.
Yeah. And then I went on vacation one time and came back, and then all of a sudden you had packed up and moved out of my house and started doing your own thing. That's how I remember it, but it's all good. The past. But so Matt, you say you've been on a 100% raw food diet. So explain that to people, because you could say I've been 100% raw and you could eat nothing but dates and nut butter all day, or you could eat like, 30 bananas and a head of romaine and a whole bunch of like dried fruit and be raw. You could drink nothing but juice and be raw. You could eat nothing but sprouts and be raw. You could eat nothing but raw superfoods that you sell in your store, be raw. You could, eat all kinds of stuff and still be raw. What does raw mean to you, and how did you do it for 23 years?
So what did I eat is what you're pretty much asking me?
Right.
Okay. Well, before we go into that, with me packing up and stuff, if I recall, you said I was underperforming. And so you laughed and you kind of got rid of me. So, you wanted me, I did say I was going to do more than I actually did, like writing articles and doing videos, but I don't know what happened. And then you told me I had to go. And then I probably packed up while you left or something during that time. I don't know.
I don't even remember, man. I'll remember you were gone when I came back from one trip. I'm like, whoa, this is weird. Anyways, it's all good, man.
That must have been like 20 something years ago.
Yeah, something like that, man. I don't remember.
Okay, so yeah, we didn't leave. We're not on bad terms. We're friends.
Yeah, we were just like, oh, whatever, man. Matt's on his journey and I'm on mine. It's all good.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I did when I went on a 100% raw food diet, I didn't do high fruit. I pretty much gravitated to eating about 2 times a day. And for breakfast, I would eat, or lunch, breakfast, I did a lot of juicing too, but I would eat just a fruit meal generally. And then at night, I would just do a huge salad with a crazy amount of avocados and stuff like that with no fruit whatsoever. There were many times when I would do crazy amounts of fruit, like for my lunch and stuff like that. Fruit's so good, especially when you're eating nothing else besides raw foods. Like when figs came into season, it was just like this craziness, or eating all those durians on your trampoline or something like that, frozen durians, all sorts of different things. And then, so I pretty much, it was pretty basic. Just lettuce, tomatoes, lots of avocado, maybe some of our olives, Oh, and I did nut butters too and stuff like that. Oh, so there were times where I would like take blueberries and mix almond butter all over the blueberries. It just changed all the time over 23 years.
But basically you would eat 2 times a day for 23 years and pretty much either a juice or a fruit and then a big salad at night. I mean, that's the main thing.
Well, I would juice all day long. I never counted that as a meal. Right. So I would juice in the morning, eat my fruit, maybe juice again, then eat my big salad. And then that was pretty much it.
All right. And pretty much the same kind of foods, like cycling the same foods, never trying to find like new and crazy stuff or growing things or.
I pretty much have always done this all my life. I even do it now where I pretty much get set in like eating the same thing every day for some reason.
Right.
I just like it. And it just happens. Yeah, it just is really good. It's almost like mono meal eating on some level. Like right now, I don't eat raw foods. I mean, I eat raw foods, but I'm not on a raw food diet anymore. I had to stop for a while until I healed myself with the surgery, which we'll go into in a little bit. But yeah, I pretty much was I eat the same thing every single day. Like I do change it sometimes here and there, but when I'm with family or
pretty much you got your foods that you like and you just eat those.
Yeah, right now I'm only eating 2 meals a day. And that's it. So
you're still eating 2 meals a day. I guess on some levels that could be quite good. On some levels, maybe might be limiting, but it depends who you ask, basically. And I think the other thing that, important for me in my lifestyle is that I'm always trying to seek out new and different foods and growing different foods in my garden, because as new emerging research shows, and that's why I started eating some heat processed foods, small quantities, as I shared in a few videos ago, to expand my diversity of foods, because every different food has different kind of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients, and more importantly, fiber to feed our gut microbiome. So me and Matt maybe did a little bit differently. And maybe in the earlier years, I ate more consistent and kind of the similar things, but I'd always go to farmers markets and see what new thing can I find, and I always like to grow like lychee tomatoes and just weird fruits and different things, because I really like the variety of plants on the planet that, if you go to the grocery store, they have such a small selection. And that's why I like something like Matt's online, the rawfoodworld.com website, because literally you could get foods on his website that you can't go down to the grocery store to buy, like weird stuff. And I've bought stuff from Matt over the years, like some of these more weird things that are hard to find, especially when he has a good price. So Matt, so you were eating raw foods for like 23 years, and then one day you woke up with a stomach ache, or how did this some of your health challenges start?
Okay, so I was eating a 100% raw food diet, and one day I just woke up with blood in the toilet, and I was like, crap, I have to stop. And as you know, I was doing a lot of enemas at the time too. A lot of people think that that's one of the reasons why this happened to me, which I disagree with. I know many people who have done it more extreme than me who are still fine and don't have this issue. But anyway, I woke up one morning and there was just blood in the toilet, and I was like, I have to make changes. And that's when I started to make changes.
So one day you just woke up, there's blood. And so because I know you used to use a Kalima board and enemas, and how often did you do those?
Okay, so I did them pretty much every day.
Wow, every day. How many have I done in the last, since 1995 when I started raw foods? I mean, in the beginning, I did some colonics for, detox and healing and getting stuff out of me in the beginning. And then maybe over the last just 10 years, I might have done one.
Yeah.
So big difference between me and Matt. He would do every day to keep himself clean. And I do like doing it once in a while, but I personally believe that how you did it is a little bit excessive, but I don't know.
Yeah. So what happened was at that point, when I started bleeding, I stopped doing enemas completely. And then I stayed on the raw food diet for probably a couple of years after that. And I have never done an enemas or colonic or since then, because I was like, okay, if this is the reason why this happened, the body could obviously heal itself. And so I started doing all these healing modalities on the 100% raw food diet still, because I was more extreme than anybody. I wasn't willing to make any changes until I died, actually. And I was resuscitated. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to make some changes here.
Yeah, I mean, I've always known you to be extreme. Maybe when you live with me, you would you would get coconuts and drink I don't know, 2 cases of coconut water and leave me all the meats, and I'd have to dehydrate or make coconut, yogurt or pudding out of it, and then you just like eat nothing but durians and like all these durians almost until you're gonna vomit. It's all good, man. So I don't know some of the, I mean, the other thing I know is that you have a raw food superstore, and like you have taken over the years so many different supplements, including audio clarity and ones that are approved and maybe not approved by the FDA and who knows what. So I don't know if those would play a role in potentially causing issues or not. I mean, I don't really know, and I don't think anybody knows. So.
Well, I never really took anything in excess, and I didn't really take crazy amounts of supplements myself. Right. There were certain ones that I always recommended, like I did on a daily basis. The ones that I carried at the store was things like pine pollen, which is just kind of like a superfood.
Yeah, I would eat pine pollen.
Yeah, and then the Quinti Essential Minerals was another one that I would take. Put it in my water. It's just like it's like seawater. Yeah, it was like seawater. All it is seawater. It's like Norman Walker used to put like drips of Catalina seawater, and I found this to be like the closest thing to it. Just things like that. Put a B12 patch on. I'm not a big fan of those anymore.
I don't think they really work.
I take B12 probiotics now. That's like my thing. And I like the postbiotics. That's like my favorite thing that we have.
Yeah, no, I bought some from you.
That's cool.
All right. So yeah, I think that, so what, did you just do enemas or a colonic board or have your own machine or what?
Well, when I was at your place, I had a Kalima board. It was like gravity. Right. And then I learned about a 4-quart enema bag that I would it was very easy clean up. It was like, and then you have, it's like you could do a lot of water at one time because it was like 4 quarts, and it was just like, you don't need a big clunking like enema board or anything like that. It's just like very easy. I haven't done an enema in so long, it's ridiculous. Like years and years. But when I was
withdrawals?
No, it was actually a mental. I have had people come to me because a lot of people have thought that the reason why I ran into my problems was because of enemas, and like famous people have come to me saying, what do I do? Like they're scared that they're addicted to it. There's so many people addicted to it because it's like really difficult to stop when you stop, but I had to, I felt like. A lot of famous people in the health food movement, like from all over the place, do this thing like every single day. And I'm like, no, you're fine. Like, that's not what happened to me. Like, but it's good to like have control, like not control, but like freedom to not be dependent on something like that. It's not that it stops you from going to the bathroom. It just feels like it does because you're used to being so clean and it feels so good and you're so high, and like you start getting gas and it's just like, it's just something you have to like get used to. And, the way I did it was first, so I stopped enemas. And then what I would do was I would juice fast for 2 days a week. And then I would be drinking and stuff would be coming out. And then I would go down to 1 a week. And then as soon, like, that would like clean me out, like just because I'm bringing no food in, but I'd still be going to the bathroom. This is how I mentally did it. And it felt fine. And then finally I was just like, I was off of it completely.
Wow.
I know that sounds crazy, but seriously, this is like a big thing for a lot of people. Like I get,
I get it. I mean, there's a lot of habits that people do on a daily basis that if they had to give it up, they'd freak out, and it could be anything, whether it's enemas or if I had to give up juicing, oh my gosh, like I'm jonesing, maybe I'd have to start enemas or something. But yeah, I mean, I think my personal opinion on enemas and colonics and all these things are that, in certain situations, it could be quite good, maybe to heal. But to do it on a regular basis, like our bodies aren't designed to take like liquids up the butt. I mean, it's maybe do a coffee enema once in a while, the detox or whatever else, or if you got to do it because you can't go to the bathroom otherwise. Like I was in Hawaii, and actually I got really sick in Hawaii once. Where was I? I was on Maui. And I was in the hotel. I went to some it's Kauai. I was in Kauai and I went to some raw food restaurant. Got really sick. They must have had some crap in the food, like really sick. And my girlfriend at the time was like, John, you should do an enema. It might help. And I did an enema. Oh my gosh, that was like the best enema I ever had, man. All this crap came out and I felt fine afterwards. So it's like, I think used appropriately in the right situation when you need to do that, it's great, but also like I personally feel that if I did every day, I would get dependent on that to be able to go to the bathroom. And, you know, I want to be able to go to the bathroom. I mean, I'd go to the bathroom like 6 times a day already. I have no problems going to the bathroom and stuff just comes right out. I go in, do my business and come out, you know? So I think that that may have been a pretty big factor in my opinion, but I'm not a medical doctor or something.
Yeah. Cool.
So, all right, Matt. So moving into, so we know what so you did enemas and then you have blood in the toilets. And then what happened to you?
So I decided to make some changes in terms of just like, okay, so I did all sorts of things. I tried dry fasting for 5 days. That was a freaking adventure. I tried fasting. I tried hyperbaric chambers. I tried eating slippery elm bark, aloe, like everything, like everyone recommended. Like, you know, I tried everything. I followed Jordan Rubin's He Healed This Way. Like I tried every different method possible. It took me a while to do Jordan Rubin's method because I wasn't open to eating cooked food yet. And, you know, I also tried the medical medium. That was like, I got so worse on that from that guy. It was like ridiculous. I would never follow anything from him. Sorry, no offense, but I don't have anything against him, but it just didn't work for me. I got worse. I started bleeding more. It was just crazy.
So the issue was you're bleeding out of your butt and then you're trying different things. Now, did you go to the doctor to see what they told you was wrong? Or you're just like, I'm bleeding out of my butt. I need to figure it out on my own. And so I'll stop.
Yeah, I was like totally against doctors. I was like the 100% raw food diet extreme dude. Nobody was like, I was just like, you know, this was like the way, you know, like everybody's healed like this. And I got hurt on it. But I did end up going to the doctor finally. But first, before I did go to the doctor, I decided to try cooked food. And the first thing I ate was eggs. And I was eating crazy amounts of eggs in the beginning, and potatoes. And that was pretty much it. It hurt to go to the bathroom with anything, like even fruit, when I was eating salads, whatever, like it just got so bad, I would be like crying on the toilet. And so I started eating the potatoes and the eggs. The eggs probably hurt me the least. So I started doing that. And as time went by, I started doing things that were less invasive, but nutrient dense, such as like goat milk. Just because I wanted nutrients and not to be in pain when stuff would come out. So I started drinking goat milk. And I wasn't getting better. I mean, I could deal with the pain and stuff, but that's when I went to the hospital a couple of years after trying all these different things. And it's been a journey since then. I ended up on prednisone, and that actually worked to heal me to where I was like not in pain, and I was able to eat things and stuff like that without any pain. It was amazing, but prednisone can cause many side effects and things like this. And so I was healed, I felt like, on the drugs, and I was like, okay, let's try this raw food thing again, or just like try to wean off the prednisone and try to eat just healthily. And as soon as I started weaning off blood, I was a mess again. And then I was still thinking I could do something, and I ended up bedridden. I had a diaper. It was so bad. I already bypassed the part where I died and I was resuscitated. I seriously fell into Angela's arms. Like she said I did this like death, what do you call it? A death gag or something. And I was just like, this is when I was like bedridden in the beginning before the prednisone. I was like crawling to the bathroom. I couldn't even make it to the bathroom, and I'd be crawling to the bathroom, seriously. And then these people tried to bring me this was in Ecuador, this natural doctor bringing me a vitamin C drip. They were bringing it to me that night or something. And that's when I died. It just happened to all line up where I fell into Angela's arms dying. This guy put me on the couch, did some sort of cardiac maneuver with my legs, injected me with some cortisone to restart my heart. And then he's like, he's got to go to the hospital. And that was the first time I went to the hospital. And I went on meds and stuff like that. And then I came back to California finally after many years. And then they put me on prednisone and mesalamine, and I was fine. And then I tried to wean off of it. We drove to Florida. That's where we're at now. I was weaning off of it, and I got really bad. This is when I was I would have to get off the freeway every like 5 minutes. And then I ended up in bedridden for many months out here, got medical insurance. And I was in so much pain. I was just waiting for the medical insurance to become live on January 1st before I actually went. And then I went to the emergency room and they gave me IVs of prednisone. I was doing really good just because of these meds. And so it got to the point where I was having to make a decision to go on like biologics, which these all create side effects in the long run, and it kills your immune system. I was ready to get vaccines. I didn't get the COVID vaccine, but I was ready to, just because I was on so much stuff that suppressed your immune system. And I needed to do it, or I could have died if I got it, because I was one of those types of people who ended up with issues. But so what happened was I didn't get the COVID vaccine. So what happened was it just got bad. So the doctor said, I did a colonoscopy. The doctor said it was so bad with ulcers. He said, you're probably going to get surgery, but if you want to try this biologic, Entyvio, we can give it a shot. But it takes like 6 weeks to work. And I tried one before that, Remicade, and my body couldn't handle it. I was going through convulsions during the infusion. So my body rejected it. So I had to do this other one. And so the doctor was like, the surgeon, I at first thought he was trying to make money off me. He's like, all the Entyvio is going to do is temporarily have side effects with you. And he was trying to get me to do the surgery, but it was going to take 6 weeks for it to possibly work. The doctors I was talking to were saying there's probably only like a 20, 30, 40% chance that it would work. And I was just in so much pain, I couldn't go anymore. And I'm just like, I'm just going to get the surgery. And I've thought about doing surgery too, just to be done with this and like not wanting it to deal with this anymore. And so I did it. I was in such bad shape. My albumin levels were extremely low. I was at a very high percentage rate of possibly dying on the operation table. They had to put a drip of nutrition in me for like a few days before I even did it, because I wasn't absorbing food. And so I was 96 pounds at one point too, by the way. That's when I died. And I was 114, or like I was going down in the low hundreds before the surgery. But anyway, so now I did the surgery and it healed me. I am walking 3 to 5 miles, sometimes 10 miles in a day. Before I was bedridden, my joints are getting used to it again. Like I was walking too much and my body was like decrepit, it was just like crazy. But now I've just been building up every single day, making sure I walk. I started out for a half mile, then a mile, then 2 miles and 3 miles. And so, yeah, I got the surgery. It was like, I literally almost died. There was kind of like, not necessarily complications, but like, I ended up vomiting right after surgery because I couldn't handle any food coming in. It was just like, it was a very bad experience. It was the most painful thing I've ever gone through. And there was a misunderstanding with giving me pain meds and stuff like that. Anyway, so this was recent, this surgery. It was probably like 2 to 3 months ago. And I have a bag now. And this week, actually, I'm going in for a second surgery to get rid of the bag and to take it down into something called a J pouch that I have. I'm very excited to get rid of this thing, but I'm also scared at the same time because it's a very gentle surgery compared to the last one. But it's surgery. I'm going to go in anesthesia, and they're going to sew, and they hopefully won't have to open me up. They're just going to be able to go in through the hole where the stoma is coming out. So yeah, that's happening this week, and I'm just excited to get my life back. I could go in like water again. I could go to the water slide park with my kids. I did it actually, and the thing's like falling off because of the water, and I would have to hold it, and I was just like, it was like a disaster, and it was the worst. But yeah, so yeah, I'm very excited to get my life back. This has been a very humbling experience. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm just very grateful for life. I'm grateful to be with my children. This is just one aspect of everything that I went through, financially, spiritually. Like I went through a major hit. I lost all my land in Ecuador. It was just like, everything was just a very humbling experience. I almost lost my life. And I'm grateful for it because of how happy I am now. I remember being on my mom's couch thinking that I had nothing at this point. I was going on unemployment, and that's when everything started to turn around, and I got to keep my business and everything like this. It was pretty crazy. And so now, real quickly, I'll just tell you the reason why I think that this happened. I don't think it was because of the raw food diet. I don't think it was because of enemas. I believe it was a hereditary thing. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. It's very prominent amongst Ashkenazi Jews. And then also my brother, he's actually mentally challenged and is the person I have a 3-year-old, but he many years ago had the same exact surgery because he ended up with, the colitis. So I believe it was a hereditary thing above all else. So people don't really necessarily believe that. They think maybe it's because I went under stress, and there was a lot of spiritual chaos in my life. So I believe in Jesus as my way. And you could say, if you've heard the story of Job in the Torah, which is the Jewish section of the Old Testament, my story is kind of similar to that, I would say. And don't worry, I'm not like a preacher or anything like that, but it was pretty much not as extreme as Job's or anything like that. But he pretty much lost everything. He had an encounter with the devil, kind of like what I did too, from a man who worshiped the devil. It was crazy. And I ended up going, like, you wouldn't believe the spiritual intensity that I went through for many years. I'm an extremist, John, and I thrived on that. It was crazy. It was kind of like I thought it was like, I was fooled. Everything was like, I was being fooled and everything like that. He came to me as like saying, oh, he's like he was for Jesus, but he was really the other. And it was just like, it took me a while to realize, and the intensity around this being who and what I went through. I've done things like San Pedro, and like he was into black magic. And I experienced that whole realm on just like a crazy level. Like I wouldn't say intimate with the guy. Like I'm straight. It was like more of like a friendship. But it was like, I trusted the person, like as if he took me in or something. And it was just like, I went through something that most people wouldn't, I believe, be able to actually handle. I wasn't planning on going into that, but I just started babbling. So it was just a very intense thing. I wouldn't change anything, like the humbling, everything, losing everything. Like I wouldn't change anything.
Wow, that's really humbling. I mean, nowadays in my life, if something happens to me, I see how it benefits me, right? I mean, that's the only, because it's your reaction that really makes or breaks you. And so I'm glad that you've seen the light, and how humbling this was, and learning from your experience. But I want to take it to the next level and help everybody watching this so that they don't have to get body parts cut out. Maybe they probably won't have your same genes. Luckily enough, that was a factor. But I've also had my own issues with maybe bad genes, and I've learned that that study of epigenetics is that your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So Matt, I want to ask you about some of your other parts of your lifestyle. I know you have kids, you have a business that probably stressed you out, and even had employees and rent of a warehouse and all kinds of crazy stuff happen in your life. How much sleep did you get on a regular basis? And how stressful, in the past years, before this occurred, would you say, and how much exercise did you get? Like all these are just, I think important factors. And it's not just because of the diet or because of enemas, it's all these things that you did, maybe some of them, some extreme, and your genes compounded it all. And then this is what happens here. And spiritual, of course, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, running my business is very easy for me. For some reason, I got this, my dad actually had Asperger's. Some people think I have some sort of brain thing going on. I don't think I do, but I'm very good with math. I'm very good at handling and running the business. I'm really good with this. The stress comes when something happens, like you're audited or you lose a customer service rep, and you just have to it's kind of freaks you out. All these things happen at once. And so I wouldn't say I had any issues in that realm too much. I mean, things happen and I get stressed out, but it's not for long periods. So what happened was remember that time I was telling you during where I was having my encounter with the spiritual issues and the craziness. I was doing San Pedro and stuff like that. I guess I would say it happened after all that. And there was a lot of things that, I mean, I'm not a drug addict or anything like that. But I did a lot of experimenting at that time under that person's guidance, like that were supposed to be like spiritual and stuff like that. And never drink alcohol or anything like that. But, you know, I did other things.
Like what?
Okay, so marijuana was one. It was like he would make these like butters that would make it really intense too, but I also smoked here and there. I did the San Pedro a few times, maybe like 6 times. That stuff is really, it's like plant medicine. That's very intense. There was some, I never did, okay, so acid or LSD, it was recommended that I do micro doses, like do a microdose every single day. So I did that for a little bit. Never did a full huge dose. And I mean, I'm kind of like embarrassed to even say the next one. I probably did this 15 times in total. I did cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah. But not, I wasn't, there was just like those 15 times and that was pretty much it. Recommended again by this black magician or with the black magician. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So yeah. And it wasn't like crazy amounts. The thing that I probably did the most in my life over years is probably the marijuana. Now I'm pretty much don't do anything for a very long time, maybe like every once in a while. When I came back from the hospital, I was doing videos. I did it a few times. It was pretty funny in my story and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not something that I do anymore. It was pretty much, if I were to do it now, it would be more for like medical purposes of like coming off of prednisone or think something like that. Like that's the thing, I'm still on prednisone and I have to keep on it until after the surgery because they're going to give it to me in an IV too to like keep the inflammation under control. My cheeks are a little puffed up. It's called a prednisone moon face right now. So I'm not excited about weaning off that stuff. It gives you crazy headaches, but I'm excited to be off all drugs. That's one of the benefits of doing the surgery is I'm going to be off all meds. And that's something I'm very looking forward to. I'm very not looking forward to doing the wean off process. Hope I answered your questions there.
So how much sleep did you get on a regular basis? Like over the years?
Okay, so I did sleep pretty good, except for when I got sick. It got pretty bad. I started getting insomnia for like during that time where I was in a diaper. Like I was like, it was horrible. I'd be woken up, you know, I would be sleeping and I'd have to go and I would seriously sleep in the diaper when I was like totally dirty. I just needed to sleep. And yeah, it was, just during these times where I was like severely sick, I had problems sleeping and that was very scary. But I usually made it up for it during the day if it got too bad for too long. So it wasn't like ever a really bad issue. And if I ever don't sleep well now, I always sleep during the day or I sleep longer the next day or something like that.
All right. Cause I know like when I started raw foods back in the day, I would need X amount of sleep. And then as a raw foodist, I could actually get away with less sleep. But, you know, back then they didn't have Oura rings and all these different sleep trackers to see how good are the quality of your sleep. And are you going through the different stages of sleep? And I still don't know that, but I'm sleeping more now than ever. And, you know, actually I have an opinion on cannabis myself. I use it for medicinal reasons. I do not like the, you know, intoxicating effects of cannabis like one bit. I make plenty of videos on growing cannabis on my Growing Your Greens channel. I just went to a guy's place in California. He literally has cannabis trees in his backyard. He's going to yield probably like, I don't know, 15 pounds of flower per plant, which is going to be insane. I juiced some of his greens recently. I'll be making actually that into ice cream. I don't heat process it, but you can still get high from it if you eat it raw, if you do it the right way. If that's what you want to do. I don't want to do that. When I eat cannabis, because I don't like to smoke it because it's bad for your lungs, but like I really don't like how I feel. I'm high on green juice and like I love the green juice high, but I hate the cannabis high with a passion. Now, those of you guys that love cannabis highs, more power to you. I believe cannabis is an amazing plant that more people should, get into. And I prefer the CBD dominant varieties myself. I haven't done any kind of hardcore drugs other than maybe when I was in high school once or twice. And I don't think that's a major cause personally. I mean, I'm not a doctor of Matt's issues. He just experiments with that stuff a little bit. I think what he did on a regular basis, played more of an impact. So Matt, so you said you got a surgery. So what is the surgery that you got for everybody out there that may not know?
Yeah, real quickly, let me just address something about this and then I'll tell you about the surgery. So just the drugs that caused this either. It wasn't even that much, maybe like it was more marijuana than anything, but as I was telling you, the spiritual aspects that I took it to the most extreme you can imagine. It was literally like getting zapped like on an ongoing basis. And I was just like in the midst of this crazy spiritual madness, like thinking it was like a spiritual high on some level. But yeah, I could handle a lot from all of this craziness. And it was almost like I could feel on a spiritual level, these like things going into my colon area, and I would have to do spiritual work to kind of remove it. It was like kind of weird. Some people call it tentacles, some people call it this, but that was like something I always had to work on an ongoing basis. It was like on a spiritual level, like spiritual bodies or something like that. People could look at that however they want, but I just want to share that. And then you also mentioned you don't like the marijuana high. The reason why I don't do marijuana is because of the come down. I actually love the high. I could like, I love it. If there wasn't a come down, then I would probably do it. The come down makes me kind of like less patient, more irritable, less. And so like I have kids and stuff like that, and I don't like to be like that. So that's the main reason I've stopped all of that. I wouldn't want to be that way without kids either, but like, I like the high, but I don't like the come down. Okay. So you want me to share what this actual surgery is?
Right.
Okay. Okay. So the surgery, okay. So I had ulcerative colitis and it wasn't Crohn's disease. Sometimes people aren't able to do the surgery I'm doing. They're going to live with a bag for the rest of their lives. I feel very grateful that I can do this. There was actually a woman, I don't know if you know her, she's in the raw food realm, Lauren Natasi or something like that. She's big on Instagram too. She was on a raw food diet. She ended up with the same thing with Crohn's. It's probably a little worse than mine. She tried to heal naturally. She's been a big support for me, just like, cause she went through the exact same thing. She has the same exact surgery as me. And I would just ask her questions and stuff like that. She actually even went to Paul Neeson and tried to use his methods of healing, and she did green juice. Unfortunately, she almost died also, and she ended up in the hospital during that. And then she went to the hospital and she was just like, okay, I'll do the surgery. So it's like, I understand. I asked the doctor, I'm like, look, my friends, David Klein, Paul Neeson, they healed by doing this naturally. He's like, they probably didn't have true ulcerative colitis like you do, Matt. And I mean, these are just coming doctors. They have their books, and, I am against doctors more than anybody in the past, if you know what I mean. But now I have had to rely on them. And they just think, he said that, that they probably didn't, and same with Jordan Rubin, he said, they probably didn't have it like a serious ulcerative colitis. It might've just been IBS or this or that. And they were able to do it. And the reason that I had to do the surgery was because I tried to heal it naturally for so long on myself without medical attention. And the same thing with this Lauren girl. She ended up with, she had to do it. And she got the J pouch. That's the surgery I did. So what they did was they removed the colon. They took a portion of that colon and made like a J pouch at the rectum area. And they have to let that heal before they could reconnect everything. And so what they do in the meantime, that's the first surgery. I have a scar going right down the middle here. And I have a stoma coming out right here into a bag. And it sucks. Like my skin hurts sometimes. And like, I would not want to live with this thing forever. I've been excited about getting the takedown forever. But so what it pretty much is, like the J pouch is kind of like the bag inside. And then, so it like, he said, the surgeon said, like, for some reason, like an act of God or something, like, it starts to, the J pouch kind of just like takes everything and absorbs out everything. And it just starts to act as an actual organ on some sort of level. It's unfortunate that I'm not going to be like a normal human being. There's a chance in the long run when I'm older, I might have incontinence issues. I don't know, maybe not at all. But to have my life back is just like incredible. And I don't think I'll have incontinence issues. I mean, I know I've had so many people write me who had the same exact thing done, people who tried to eat healthily, who did the natural thing for so many years. All these people they're angry at the raw food diet. A lot of people, I'm not saying I'm not angry at it. I love it. And I love it. I wasn't able to eat raw foods for so long because it would make me bleed. I'm eating them again. I'm so happy I'm eating fruit and I'm loving vegetables and everything. I'm drinking juices again. All these things would make me bleed before because of the fiber, or maybe I don't know, I couldn't even do juices as it would make me bleed more. But now I'm back to all that. And it's just very exciting to actually have my life back. So what they're going to do is they're in this surgery. He says there's an 80% chance they're not going to need to open me up because they could just go in through the hole of the stoma, which I'm praying. And then they're just going to take it down to the J pouch, which he created during the first surgery. I believe he's going to sew it. And then there's always the risk of it bleeding or he has to go back in and fix it. And I'm hoping that's not going to be the case either, but he had to just warn me just in case, but he says it's very unlikely. Normally he's doing this surgery for people who are obese. And that's the time where there's issues, but I'm a healthy guy. So yeah, I'm just really excited. I mean, it sucks on one level, but you guys have no idea what I've been through. And like, just to even just have my life back like this, like I'm grateful for every last aspect of it. And, yeah, and I'm just excited. I'm not going to get the COVID vaccine because I'm healthy now again. I thought I was going to have to take vaccines because I was going to be immune depressant, but like, yeah, I can like stand up for my rights again. I'm just excited about everything. I'm excited about life. I'm nervous about this like surgery because I don't want what I have now to be taken away from me, because there's a chance I might die, you know, on the table, anesthesia, like blood. There's this very slow, light chance, but you know, I'm scared. I'm like, I'm just very grateful for what I have now, you know, more than I've ever been before. My children, especially, that's like the main thing that I have to live for. So.
Wow, man, that's such an ordeal. I'm glad I got all my body parts, and you know, this motivates me to, you know, better my microbiome, because I think in the end, I personally believe, you know, what happened to you was because of the maybe not taking care of your microbiome as well as you could have for whatever reason, whether the enemas messes up your microbiome. I'm have to actually look that up to see how enemas or shoving water up the back end affects your microbiome or not, or makes you dependent and your bowels can't move. I mean, I don't know about any of that stuff, honestly, but I know that, you know, I try to eat a wide variety of foods, and that's why I started including some heat processed foods and different kinds of foods to ensure I have a good gut microbiome so that I don't have any gut issues in the future. And, you know, I don't know, is this right or wrong? I mean, so another few questions I have for you, Matt, is have you ever gotten like a microbiome test, you know, for, you know, to see how you were doing? And well, we'll start with that.
No, I've had to go on antibiotics too during these surgeries and colonoscopy and stuff like that. When I was really bad, they like whenever they go to take you to the hospital, they have to do antibiotics and just kills everything. But no, I've never done anything like that. I don't think I had any issues. And again, I got off the enemas for years before I ended up like off the raw food diet. And like, I had tried everything to heal. I fasted everything. Like, I haven't done enemas since that day. So it's like, yeah, I don't think I had an issue with microbiome, but no, I never tested it.
But now the other thing is you just had blood in your stools and then you never went to the doctors to get an official diagnosis of what it was. So you just know you had blood in the stools and something down there wasn't working right, but you didn't exactly know what it was.
Well, at that time, I thought it might have been the enemas. So I stopped it, but I didn't get better. I just kept getting worse. And again, I think it was the whole spiritual aspect, as I discussed earlier, too. And yeah, so yeah, I did actually go to the doctor, and I did colonoscopies in Ecuador actually around that time when I died.
What did they tell you?
They said everything is fine, but you got to go on these meds. And I was like, no, I was totally against this type of thing.
Everything is fine, but you have to go on these meds, like.
And I was against going to the hospital, but I
don't understand that they told you everything is fine, but you need to go on these meds. Why do I need to go on the meds?
Because I have an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis, and it's eating away at my colon. And
that's what they told you they told you you had ulcerative colitis, which was your first diagnosis. How long after you had you saw blood in your stools, did you get that ulcerative colitis diagnosis?
When I went to the hospital, hey, Gila.
Yeah.
The day I had blood versus the day I died and went to the hospital in your arms, like what was, how long of a time period was it in between those two? She's really good with time periods. Do you know?
Well, the day you died was in October 2018.
2018 is when I died.
And what was the other question?
The first time I went to the oh wait, what was until when was I starting to bleed before that?
Oh, around the time when Araya was born.
Which was how many years before that?
Let's say maybe in 2012.
Oh my God, I was bleeding for 9 years. I didn't even know that. And I wasn't willing to take medical help for 9 years. And that's why I ended up where I was.
Wow. So, well, okay. So Matt, hindsight is always 20/20. You can't change the past, of course, but you can.
So 9 years I did no enemas. 9 years I did no enemas and I didn't heal.
And you didn't heal doing what you thought was going to help you, but it may have not. But yeah, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. So what would you have done differently to hopefully, not be in the situation you're in? Like if somebody is bleeding in the toilet today, what would you tell them? If it was you, what would you do?
Go to the doctor. I would never say that in the past, but now I'm just like, go to the doctor. If you want to attempt to give it one go to see if you can heal by doing like a fast or something like that, and to see if it works, maybe if you want to try that, then go for it. But I'm a big, like the drugs, like the prednisone saved my life. The hospital saved my life. The surgery gave me my life back. It all saved my life. Like, I'm very grateful for it. I'm always still asking questions and I'm still angry at doctors and things like this. I've calmed down a lot, but like, I still think they don't have the same understanding as us, me, you, whatever, on a big scale. But I'm also like a big fan of going to the doctor now, like if necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I mean, I think that they know a lot, but they also don't know a lot. And I think that for diagnoses, right, they're excellent at diagnosing things. So, use them and their tools to help diagnose you so you exactly know what's going on. And then you could hear their treatment program, like I would want to hear their treatment program. And then you could do your own research and try to do your own treatment program. But if you just think something's wrong with you and you just guess at what it is, and then you try a treatment program based on you guessing at what it is, and it's not that, well, your treatment may not even work anyway. So it's like, I would definitely, like you said, I would go to the doctor to get diagnosed and then see what they're going to tell you to do. Maybe not necessarily do that, and then go out and get other opinions to see, if somebody said I had ulcerative colitis, which it's highly unlikely I do, but you never know. I would personally drink juices. I mean, certain things like fibers could upset your digestive system. A lot of different foods could cause dysbiosis and having a messed up gut. I mean, if you restrict too much, if you don't eat a wide variety, if you don't have the right gut buddies in you because you've had antibiotics, or you're drinking chlorinated water. I mean, there's so many factors, and I'm no expert in all this stuff. I just try to do a nice, well-rounded program to keep my gut healthy these days. And I want to encourage other people out there also, not to be too extreme or go on, do extreme things. Like, to me, doing an enema every day is extreme, but that's just my personal opinion. To some, it's just how they do it every day. I mean, it's some, processing your vegetables into juice is extreme, or cooking food is extreme. Everybody's different. Yeah. So I would definitely say that I would go to the doctor to kind of see what they said. And then, I have a bunch of friends I'd call and say, hey man, they said I got this. This is the official diagnosis. What do I do now? They want me to do this. And then see what made the most sense to me. Hopefully, I believe the earlier you catch something and you know what it is, I think the more effective the treatment could be, because maybe if you did get diagnosed like, years before and you started doing the right things to heal that, maybe it wouldn't have gotten worse, because maybe some of the things you potentially did maybe caused it to get worse. I mean, I have no clue if that's true or not, but obviously, you know, it didn't get better. So
yeah. So for 9 years, I literally tried experiment after experiment, dry fasting, Jordan Rubin's approach, Paul Neeson's like just fasting. I've also watched videos on healing colitis where all you eat is bananas. And I tried, that's when I almost died, when I was just eating like low fiber fruits. And I was following these methods exactly on how other people healed and how they say it will work for everybody. It didn't. I literally tried everything for all these times. And let's just say it was from the enemas. I'm bleeding a little bit. Okay, it wasn't even that much. I just kept getting worse as time went on. But there's people who get this without doing enemas, and if they could heal, then I could heal. Like, what's the difference? But nothing worked. So I ended up in the hospital. Like I ended up on the prednisone, and it was the only thing that worked. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And like, I was still against it, you know? And yeah, so.
Wow. Yeah, Matt, I got a question for you. I heard somewhere that like, this is weird, you know, but like drinking your own urine or shooting up your urine as a, I don't know, enema or something is supposed to be helpful with, you know, I don't know, when you have like issues in your inflamed colon. Did you try that?
So that was the only method recommended by Paul Neeson that I did not try. He said he did it. What he wanted me to do was take my urine, boil it down to where it's really concentrated, probably would smell up the whole house, do enemas with it, and drink my own urine. Now, I was willing to try everything, but this is just something I wasn't able to.
You didn't try everything. You never tried that. You didn't. I mean, I would drink pee before I took prednisone.
But how do you know it's going to work? People told me all sorts of crazy stuff, and
I don't know it's going to work. But I tried to see if it worked. It's only your pee, man.
And he says, oh, in 6 months of doing this, you'll probably heal. Like, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I could heal instantly with just prednisone. Like, I'm not gonna.
It's also what are the effects? Because there's always gonna be negative. There's probably negative effects of drinking your pee. But I would believe that the negative effects of drinking your pee, like almost gagging or barfing, is probably less than the negative effects of the prednisone, also known as the side effects or the undesired effects. Personally, I mean.
Yeah. Well, when I was suffering as much as I was suffering, I was willing for side effects at that point. Like if I could be not suffering anymore and have side effects, I was like willing to. I was willing to take Entyvio, a biologic, which can give a person cancer. I was willing to do it to have a normal life. And so would I rather do that? And drinking urine might have worked, it might have not. It got so bad to where I couldn't even get to the point to see if Entyvio would work. Would I rather be on all these drugs all my life, or would I rather just get the surgery and be done with it? Now I'm walking 3 to 5 miles a day. I have my life back. I'm extremely healthy. I could eat raw foods. I could eat all these things. Okay, so if something was wrong with me because I was eating something wrong, why am I healed now? Like, I'm fine now. Like, I'm totally healed. I'm like cured. I'm like excited. like I can't do anything wrong. Like now.
Yeah, to me, I think to me, this is the analogy that I kind of come up with in my head. Like, if you're in a car accident, you can't go home and try to use raw foods to heal from a car accident because you're already so messed up. And I think you may have been at the point where you're so messed up that, trying to heal it naturally would have been almost impossible, if not impossible, because you said you tried everything. And that's where, the medical assistance and for emergency use to get you out of the pain, to heal you or to cut body parts out of you to basically resolve the situation, which is what it did, work for you.
Yeah.
Would you say that's a pretty accurate, assessment?
I would say everything's accurate, but I don't know if I took it too far, meaning I don't think I would have had a choice regardless. I don't think it's because of the enemas. Maybe other people think something different. I don't think it was because of the raw food diet. I think it was hereditary, and I think it was inevitable. It was just going to keep getting worse. I was going to have to be on meds. This is me personally, my belief. And I think that it was inevitable in the long run that I was going to have to do surgery at some point.
All right. Well, I mean, that's you're totally free to your opinion. My personal belief is that if you had blood in your stool and it happened a couple of times, you went to the doctor and they gave you a diagnosis, and then you knew exactly what it was, and you did specific treatments and were prudent at it for the situation, and then went back and monitored it every once in a while to see if it's getting better or worse. I don't think you get to the point where you'd have to start cutting out body parts personally, but
Oh yeah, but I'd have to be on the meds.
do what?
I'd have to be on the meds though for the rest of my life.
I mean, I don't know anything about your situation, but I would think that our bodies heal itself, and I don't know about the, your gene thing or all that stuff.
The meds healed me, and so I went off the meds, and then it came back worse.
I guess
So
I know nothing about all that stuff, so I'd have to see what mechanism is are the meds doing. Are they blocking, or are they suppressing, so that your body doesn't overproduce or underproduce? I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But if it was me, I would try to get a diagnosis, heal it naturally. If that didn't work, then I would go the medical route if I had to save my life, get out of pain, and all these things.
Well, I tried to heal it naturally. I just assumed that's like what I have a colon issue. Like I wouldn't have like the knowing of ulcerative colitis versus bleeding colon would have been. I know I had ulcers there, and so I got that diagnosis in my own mind. I knew what I had, and then I tried to do it. I was going to Paul at the time. I was like, I had the same thing as him, and I was just like, I tried, I did.
Wow.
But yeah, and if I would have. So it was either drugs for the rest of my life, from my standpoint, because I tried everything natural, nothing was working. It's either drugs, and then the surgeon said at some point it's going to stop working, the drugs, and you're going to have to do surgery anyways, and it's better to do it now than then. I thought he was just trying to get money off of me for the surgery. I don't know though, but I think it was inevitable. So at first I was maybe having regrets, but like everybody I went to, I tried everything. They're like, oh, this pioneer told me, fasting heals colitis. Okay, well, I did fasting. Didn't work. So
I guess the other thing is, like, aside from your genes, because you can't change your genes, would you have done anything different in your life to try to avoid from this occurring in the first place? Or do you just think this was inevitable? No matter what you did, if you ate McDonald's, you'd get this, or even if you had the most dialed in raw/cooked diet, if you're eating a wide variety of foods or juicing optimally or eating that perfect raw diet, you think this still would have happened?
I felt like I was eating a good raw food diet, but I think I needed the lesson. And it would have been more of like, I would have had to do things different spiritually, but I didn't know. I didn't know. So inevitably, this was what was needed to happen. I also think it wasn't just, I also think it was necessary for me to help other people. And I think it was like a message for the world on some level. I think God produced my story as a message to the world on some level. Because like I was pretty big for a while there. When I first announced that I was not eating raw foods anymore, you just saw the chaos that came my way. I couldn't even believe it. Cause like I was so out of it, like not much into the business much and things like that. Like I couldn't believe how much like things were coming at me. Like I didn't realize it was a pretty big thing. And yeah, I think that like, as I told you in the story of Job, I don't want to like go into like scriptures. I'm not a really like super into preaching or anything, but it was like, okay, so the devil comes to God saying, I'll make Job, I'll make him like not obey you anymore. You won't be your servant. He's like, no, that's impossible. He's like, okay, let me take his health. And he said, okay. He took his health, or no, not his health, his money and everything. So he took everything. I lost everything also. He's all okay. And then Job was fine. He still obeyed and was a servant of God. So then he came back and said, okay, I'm going to let me take his health. And he got so bad, he was bedridden with ulcers all throughout his body. And it was like the worst thing ever. And then in the end, he got a little angry and was like speaking his thing, but he still obeyed. And then in the end, he got restored everything ×2. So I feel like mine is kind of like a similar story for the world on some level. And we don't always have choices, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think any kind of diet could have done anything for me. I'm also kind of like giving away the responsibility by citing the story. So I don't want to do that either, because I was humbled, and I was an asshole on some level, on some, like in some certain ways. And I had other things, like I was like fearful and greedy, like fearful of losing money, fearful, like, you know, there was just things like that. I was just like very into that type of thing, and losing everything was the biggest spiritual thing you can possibly imagine. Yeah. And so I feel like that the two combined, like it was like a message, it was a test, because I've also been given spiritual gifts, I feel like, and as part of the consequence. And then also, so I don't think it was a physical thing. And if I could explain the intensity that I went through during these years, many, many years of dealing with this black magician, like on a very personal level, it was like pretty crazy. And I feel that that was the cause of the disease.
The black magician.
The devil, the one he worshipped. But also,
the black magician worshiped the devil.
Yes.
And then that brought you, since you were in with the black magician and he was in with the devil, then you were kind of going that route, I guess.
No, I wasn't going that route. He was pretending to be like a sponsor of the kingdom of God, Jesus Christ type of deal. And I was foolish. And I kept getting this passage saying, watch out for people. Just nothing connected, but it was part of it's like, I didn't even have a choice to be like cognizant of it. It's like, if there was a command made, you don't have a choice. I might look like an idiot. I did stupid things. I lost everything in a stupid way. Like, yes, it's true. I did stupid things, but I don't think I had a choice. Like, our consciousness is very fragile. And there's certain things that I feel were necessary, and I didn't have a choice, even though it looked like it was my fault and stuff like that. But also I am stupid and, you know, things like that. So, whoops, I just the thing. So it's an all in between all of that type of deal is what I guess I'm trying to say.
All right. So another question I got for you, Matt, is do you think raw foods cause this, or other people have gotten what you've gotten because of their raw foods diet?
And one more thing real quickly. No, I was not part of the whole devil black magician thing. I was the strongest I've ever been against that. Like, I was just like, this was everything to me. I gave up everything for it. It was like, I gave up everything. Like, it was almost like the reason why I gave up all my riches was because of this. It was almost, there's this one saying, it goes, how difficult it is for the rich man to enter the kingdom of God is more easy for us, something, I don't know the exact, but when I was doing it, I was like saying, like, look, like my last silver coin, just let it, my car, everything, just like, anyway. So what was the last question? I missed it.
So do you think raw foods causes, because you said, you know, other people that
Yeah.
have this situation and they were eating raw also?
There have been a lot of people who have come to me who said they can't do the raw food diet. I honestly don't think, I honestly don't think that diet, I think people put too much attention on diet in order to heal disease and cause disease. There are people who eat crappily and don't get disease. I think there's something much bigger and grander than this that is actually causing the disease. I know there's all these stories that we hear from people, of people healing from an improved diet. And when it comes to things like blood sugar and things like this, maybe. And yes, maybe we overdid it on some things, but I would say the percentage of what many people think in the health foods movement is a lot less associated with food than we think. My opinion. I think there's something much grander going on. And I don't think, I'm a big fan of, you never asked me what I eat, which I thought was pretty impressive. I'm a big fan of, I'm not a big fan of meat, but I'm a big fan of animal products for nutrition, like eggs and the A2 milk or goat milk or whatever you want to do. And I'm not a fan of meat, but I do eat fish. On occasion, I'll eat meat, but very rarely. So I'm kind of like a pescatarian, I guess you could say. But I don't think it's needed. But I am a fan of nutrients that are easy to digest, like eggs and dairy. Not, you don't have to go crazy with it, just, you know.
Yeah, so let's see. So my comments on that, because you had two main points, was number one, I think that there's a lot more to your health besides just diet. And I would kind of agree with you that a lot of people put the emphasis on the diet, you know, so many other things, you know, your mindset, your beliefs, your stress, your spirituality, your sleep, your exercise, so many things besides just the diet. And also, you know, the diet too. I mean, you could just say raw foods is that, but what does that mean? That means you're eating your foods raw, but there's infinite number of ways to do a raw foods diet. You could follow different raw food camps. You could make your own way. You could make up what you think it is. I mean, so many different crazy things to do. And like, I mean, a lot of them could be a little bit zany and wacky and neglectful due to, and you're not going to get certain nutrients on some raw foods diets. It's completely possible. You know, especially things like B12 can be very difficult to get unless you're taking maybe a probiotic supplement that is making B12 inside you. You're having B12 from the duckweed lentine powder or other random foods that it may be on, or take a supplement. Now, that's my opinion on that. So, but Matt, also, since you brought up the topic of what you eat and animal foods, because you mentioned it earlier, you know, I know that a lot of people in raw foods may go towards animal products, you know, when they have some kind of stomach or digestive issues. And I believe, you know, when they go to animal products, it's happened to a number of, you know, like YouTube raw foodists, nobody like super that have done it long term. But basically, I believe that the problem is with their gut. They've done damage to their gut and their microbiome. And then when they remove some of the fiber that can cause upset in your gut, and they go to animal products that don't have the fiber, then their gut doesn't get inflamed and doesn't get messed up, right? And I will not disagree that animal products are very concentrated sources of nutrition. I mean, that's what they are. The animals eat lots of food, and then they pack all the nutrients in their livers and their tissues, and, you know, they concentrate minerals and create DHA and EPA from the foods they're eating, and basically they need more of those essential fats when they're living in cold water or whatever like that. You know, my goal is to not eat animals, not only for the, you know, I want to not harm other creatures on the planet as much as possible and practicable, but also there's negative consequences along with animal foods. And every food has pros and cons. And I think that eating animal foods is just a concentrated source of nutrients, personally, and that's why, you know, I juice. You know, you know, how many pounds of grass would a goat have to make some goat milk? So all the goat's not making the milk out of thin air; they're making it out of the foods they eat, and they got all those nutrients from the plants concentrated into the milk. So now you don't have to eat that many plants. Is kind of my opinion on that. You know, for DHA, I take an algae-based DHA that is basically where the fish gets theirs. And, you know, there's a few amino acids that can be difficult to get in a plant-based diet unless you're paying attention. And I believe that, you know, most people just eating a vegan diet may not pay super attention and may not eat enough of certain kinds of nuts and seeds to get selenium or zinc or, you know, other different vitamins and nutrients. You know, once in a while, I put my foods into Chronometer to see, you know, my different ratios of things and make sure I'm all level on that. But then I even try to go above and beyond that and even eat new and different foods all the time and rotate foods because every different food has different nutrients. But yeah, I mean, but also too, like maybe when I started raw foods, I was much more like, everybody's got to be vegan. And nowadays I'm like, you know what, like everybody's different. I'm not going to I would never want to kill an animal to eat it myself. But I understand that some people will just never be all vegan. And for people that don't want to be all vegan, I think that definitely a healthy diet, you know, I cannot agree that a healthy diet is a meat-based diet or even a diet rich and has an overwhelming amount of animal foods and calories from animal foods. I would say that if you ate mostly plants, like 90% plants, whole food, plant-based, wide variety of things and had small amounts of 10% or even better yet, 5% of your calories from animal products, I could say that, I mean, from the science, that would be a completely healthy diet. I would encourage people that want to eat animal products to, you know, be connected with your food, please. Like, raise your own animals, kill them, slaughter them, slit their necks, and then eat them, because that's how we would do it. You know, I know what it is to grow my own food. I grow my own plant foods, no animal foods, and you know, and I see the process, and I think people are disconnected from the process. So that's probably a bigger problem I have with people eating animals, is that they're actually disconnected from the food, and they're not seeing the suffering that occurs, you know, to the animals, unfortunately. What are your thoughts on that?
I mainly do eggs, dairy, and fish, so it's not really harmful to the animals.
Well, fish,
I
you gotta
rarely
kill a fish to eat it.
yeah, well, I think more people would be willing to kill a fish than an animal.
But they're still sentient creatures.
Yeah, and I rarely eat meat. It's just like if I'm at like a family event or something, I don't want to like be rude or something like that. So yeah, I pretty much, I don't think eggs and milk are, you know, you're not hurting the animal. I mean, maybe the way they do it in these places. I mean, I eat the good stuff, so I'd assume they're like, you know, the free range chickens and stuff like that that make the eggs.
Yeah, I'm not a vegan. I'm not gonna sit here and debate you on that. But what I would say is that the best milk for humans is not goat milk type A milk, milk from sheep or cows or camels or whatever milk you're drinking. It is human milk, and I think that we should be able to freely buy human milk. There's actually studies on how human milk is anti-cancer and so healing. So
I'm ready. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I haven't really mentioned this. I ended up with a severe case of osteoporosis. I was diagnosed. I got how to get a scan, and it was like, men my age don't get osteoporosis. I juiced like crazy, man. Like I don't want to blame anything, but like I ended up with osteoporosis. I could say that it was the ulcerative colitis, and I wasn't absorbing, is like probably like what most people would say, and even the doctors. So I wasn't absorbing my nutrition well, and that's another reason to get the surgery.
Yeah, and another reason to eat animal foods, because that's an easy way to get some of the nutrients that you need to you know, build your bones and the calcium. But here's the thing. Like, I've also seen, because I've gotten, you know, bone scans, and I've seen, you know, they've called me like osteopenic. So that's like before osteoporosis, but that was like years ago. And at that time, you know, I ate a raw foods diet, and actually it's not just me, but I've had other friends that have told me, who are raw, that have had maybe not as strong bones. I've had some friends say that, you know, our bones don't need to be as strong because we don't have as much weight on us as an average person that has a lot more fat and they're carrying a lot more weight. Maybe some raw foodists don't exercise as much because demand will cause your bones to get bigger. But more importantly, for me personally, I think it's some, you know, like, here's the thing, like, you could be juicing all day, right? And juice is great. I'm going to say it's great. I mean, shit, I sell juices for a living. That being said, everything you need is not in the juice. I mean, there's other vitamins, right? Vitamin K2, essential for proper calcium uptake based on my research. And there's like, you know, that's why I eat natto, and I've been a big advocate of natto and freeze-dried natto. Actually, you should look into importing that, Matt, because it's very difficult to get from Japan. Try to find an imported freeze-dried natto. I'll be your best customer. You could barely find that anymore. I used to be able to get it, but it's hard to find now. I eat fresh natto, but natto is a source of vegan K2, which is otherwise can be extremely difficult to find in a plant-based diet. And most people are, I mean, you could take a supplement, of course, but if you eat animal products, you know, you know, the animals make it. So you're likely to, you know, potentially get it that way. But if you're vegan, you're not going to get it. And that's important for, you know, to process the calcium. In addition, things like vitamin D, you know, I've had raw vegan friends that live in the tropics and they still don't have enough vitamin D levels. So, you know, so I take a preformed D, and also I take, besides eating the natto, you know, I'm going to start to take a K supplement. There's different kinds of K2. You probably sell some in your store, you know, and different kinds of K2s could help, you know, calcium absorption differently. And there's probably other cofactors as well, you know. So it's like, people just got to pay attention. And most people, well, I just eat raw, I'm going to be fine. And, you know, you might not be fine, but this is like, I spent my life looking up all this stuff.
That's cool. That's cool.
So that's just my opinions. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's important to like make up for the balance of stuff that you can't get from animal products like you're doing. And I think that's really good. And I also like, okay, so the whole entire, okay, when I talk about, it's not about food, I also say it's about everything, obviously, but like all physical stuff. We're talking about sleep, stress, everything like that. And there's all this information about like what we got to do, what we can't do, and everything like that. And it's like this big stress ball. It's almost like I want to just discard that. But it's like, I don't want to say it's bullshit, but I don't know. I think there's too much fear and worry and marketing and stuff around all that stuff, type of stuff. And again, I think like all the physical stuff is a small proponent of disease. Now, I look, like some people don't believe in the Bible. Here I go again, I know. But Jesus would go and heal people, like just by touching them. This had nothing to do with diet. They didn't, oh, you will be healed if you change your diet. No, he just touched them and it was done. It was like, that was it. You know, there was nothing else that needed to be done. So I believe that the majority of disease is a spiritual thing, and that the whole physical thing is a very small percentage. Yes, if you're obese and you've been doing crazy stuff and stuff like that, or if you're nutrient deficient, yes, it's whatever. But I think the grand scheme of thing is something bigger than what we're led to believe.
I respect your opinion on that. I mean, Dr. Michael Greger wrote a book, How Not to Diet. He talks about the biggest killers in America and how they could be prevented with plant-based diet. You know, I don't know that he's ever have to ask Dr. Greger, like, okay, Dr. Greger, how many people die of spiritual diseases, man? There's probably no studies on that. That's probably
yeah. I mean,
actually.
He's just a man, you know, like everybody. There's people who are like Eric Berg. He's another guy who's like, oh, you have to do it this way, and they're like, don't like each other. It's like, then there's Mercola, and then there's Jordan Rubin. It's like they all have different, you know, like all beliefs, and all these people didn't like. There's keto, people call that. There's paleo, you know, and it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to, you know, do what I can and always continually improve and learn more every day and see if I can improve it and
yeah,
and try to put good stuff out in the world, and hopefully I have a good spiritual karma out there somewhere.
There you go. Yes, you do.
So thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. So Matt, closing up this video, because we've been talking so long now, is, you know, what are some words of wisdom you like to share with people today so that, you know, maybe they could have a better spiritual life so that they aren't affected with a spiritual disease, or maybe, you know, they could eat healthier so that they could be more, you know, stronger and resilient to getting any kind of disease? Like, what are your main tips after going through everything you've gone through?
Go to the doctor and be a good person. As hard as that is.
Eating healthfully, or that just doesn't even matter. You can eat McDonald's, just go to the doctor, be a good person, and eat McDonald's, and you'll be fine.
Look, I know people who eat McDonald's who are fine. You know what I mean? I'm not saying
for a period of time they're fine.
How much McDonald's are they eating? Are they obese? Are they my size and having McDonald's every once in a while?
But you can have McDonald's and be your size and still be very unhealthy.
Yeah, well, I don't eat McDonald's.
Because Matt, in the olden days, you would say it's not about what you do eat, but it's about what you don't eat. So you're no longer going to say that?
No.
Wow. All right.
I've been through a lot, man. And
the new Matt Monarch.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, of course we want to eat healthy. You want to feel good. You know, like if I don't eat healthy, I don't feel good. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to cause me disease. I mean, if I continue to do it crazily to where like my body's saying, stop, like I can't do it. Like if I do something bad, I can't physically do it. If I disobey that, then maybe I can run into issues. Maybe people have an ability to do something like that. I don't know where they can take it beyond where they can take it, but that's just not I can't do it. So, yeah, I think I think diet's important. Yes, I eat healthfully. I mean, if I told you the worst thing I ate, you'd probably be disgusted by it.
What is it?
I would probably say saltine crackers.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of animal foods or processed foods, and I'm not disgusted by it. You know, you're eating what you want to eat, man. Like, everybody should be able to eat what they want to eat. I mean, I'm gonna eat what I want to eat.
I kind of use saltine crackers to keep me like at a level of like to where I could be in the normal world.
That's a pretty inert, like, I mean, it's not the healthiest food, but it's a pretty inert food. I mean, I'd rather have you eat saltine crackers than some Doritos chips or something.
Yeah, there was a time period when I was my mom's, and I was just so upset. Like I diet wasn't working. I tried everything natural. So I'm like, what? Why do I have to eat health? Nothing's working. So there were times where I was eating like soft chocolate chip cookies. I don't do sugar anymore like that. Like that. I'm sure there's like sugar in some of the things I eat, but not like on a high scale. I think there's, I don't know, but I do very little sugar in bad sugars, but I was doing things like that. Sorry, my phone. And it was interesting, you know. I did experiment, you know, I flipped just for a little bit.
Yeah, wow, I could bet that tasted totally amazing.
One thing that I never did was bread. That's just like something, I mean, I did it, but I was just like, never again. Like I did it maybe 1, 2, 3 times, and it's just not for me. That's like the one thing I just am not a fan of.
Wow, cool, man. So even though you're kind of more on a like eat healthfully diet, you still have our website, the Raw Food World. So you want to talk about everybody about what you sell at the Raw Food World, and if those are even healthy foods, or they make no difference if somebody should buy them or not, because they could eat McDonald's and still be healthy and fine, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I get from my store on my own that I use. There are certain supplements I like to take. I mentioned them to you before. Like I like to add quintessential, which is like seawater, to my, like Dr. Norman Walker did this. It has all the minerals. The vegetable kingdom doesn't have all the minerals you need, but the ocean does. And he would put some on his salad and in his juices, he said, in his books. So I found quintessential to be the closest thing to his Catalina seawater. I like to take that. Of course, I like to make sure I'm getting my nutrients. I like to take postbiotics. That's like the new thing. Ours is just like super concentrated. There's nothing else out there like it. I won't go into a sales pitch on that right now, but I love to take that. Our olives, I like to put in salads. The freeze-dried durian, of course, is really good. Coconut wraps are really good. And yeah, we have millions of supplements. We have vegan supplements like GHCs, B12 and D products. And I kind of moved my phone a bit. Yeah, we have hundreds of products, kale chips. You know, of course I don't eat everything. I just create a space for everyone to get whatever they want. And there are vegans who, you know, they have a rough time with stuff, and we just have everything. We have the highest quality stuff. We have keto stuff from Lecanto, sweets from Lecanto with low sugar. I mean, I'll play around with that type of stuff too. So yeah, we even have popcorn that are flavored vegan made. It's a vegan popcorn. She uses nutritional yeast, and she says it's just as good as regular popcorn. So yeah, and then you know, I've always had supporters through it all, the lot that stayed with me, and I created a space for them, and they want to support me, and they just go there and get what they get, and they do it mainly to probably support me too. And of course they want a lot of stuff, and I try to give the best deals ever. So I'm the best place to get it too for certain things. I do sales here and there and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm very blessed. I don't understand where it comes from. The support, like, I guess I did something good and I don't know how so many people decided to stick with me through all this. I'm just very blessed about the whole situation, and you know, I'm paying the bills. So I'm happy about that.
Good deal, Matt. Yeah, I want to comment. So I believe trace minerals are essential for your health. So I'm glad Matt has taken some of the trace minerals that he chooses. I personally eat some seaweed from, you know, different kinds of seaweeds from over the world to get my trace minerals, because it's not all in land vegetables, as I've learned also, like Matt would say, you know, that are just being grown even organically or conventionally. That being said, land vegetables from my garden has the minerals in there because not only do I add trace minerals from the ocean to my garden, I add rock dust and also things like kelp and phytoplankton from the ocean sprayed onto my plants so that they could absorb those trace minerals. And that'd be the best way to get your minerals, in my opinion. So that's what I do. But, you know, most people aren't going to have a garden and spray on kelp and phytoplankton and trace minerals and put rock dust. Most people aren't that crazy as I am.
Yeah.
But Matt, I appreciate what you do at the raw food world because, you know, you source high quality products, some of which you can't find anywhere else. And the other thing is sometimes they're at very good prices. So, you know, I'm going to give you a plug here. This is like, you know, this is your durian right here. You sell the freeze dried durian. I open it up. You guys can see. This is the freeze dried durian there. Woo. And what
Making
this is, this is the freeze dried durian. You guys can't, it's number one, if you tried to buy freeze dried durian, like the cheapest places maybe on eBay, and they got to ship it from Thailand to you. And I've gotten some crap on eBay, trust me. And then it's even way more expensive than what Matt will sell you. And this stuff, man.
It's a kilo.
Yeah, if you've never eaten like freeze-dried durian, you've got to try it. So, Matt, I know you got a special coupon you want to give my customers so they could get this stuff from you guys because I'm recommending it.
Yeah, we're probably going to sell out again like we did the first time you plugged the durian. I have a lot, though. Do you remember the coupon code? Well, Raw Food 7 works for 7% off. I think I gave you one also. Perfect. At one point.
Raw Food 7. Order your freeze-dried durian. Check out Matt's store. Matt, what's your store again?
The rawfoodworld.com. THE rawfoodworld.com.
Cool. I'll put a link down below to his website and that durian and the special coupon code so you guys can get the same durian that I eat. Actually, I eat lots of different kinds of freeze-dried foods, and Matt's durian is some of the best stuff. And I'm glad he's like the only guy that I know that's importing it into the United States, like in this quantity, this size. It's like a kilo bag, super good price. I mean, you may think it's expensive, but you don't understand how much fresh durian it takes to make 1 kilo of freeze-dried durian. It takes an incredible amount. And if you, I just watch the link down below where I compare fresh durian I bought locally to this freeze-dried durian. The stuff, rocks, especially because it's shelf stable. So I'm not going to go further on that. So, Matt, any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with my viewers today before we sign off?
I think we pretty much covered it, you know. Main thing is be a good person.
All right. Good deal, Matt. I'm glad you've, evolved as a person and learning things and sharing your story with the world. And you're on my show today. I wish you, health, wealth, and happiness in your life, and especially with your family. I mean, to me, if I had a family, I'm envious of you, Matt, because of your family and your children. I wish I had children at this point in my life. But yeah, so hopefully one of these days soon, I'll be having a family too. And hopefully you'll be, having a long life and living healthfully with your family, and your next surgery goes well. So I'm wishing you the best out there. And thanks for being on the show today to share what you've gone through and what others can learn from your experiences. And, if you guys are on a raw foods diet, I encourage you guys to not be so restrictive and not be, so crazy on a raw foods diet, and try to just, keep it in check, keep it in balance, and, do the healthy things and look into the pitfalls. The main way you guys could do this without doing a lot of work is, honestly, guys, check out my videos. I've done a lot of work and research that you guys don't see behind the camera, that I make videos about certain weird topics that no other raw foodists cover, because I want you guys to be able to do it healthfully if that's what you guys want to do, because I've had to learn this stuff for myself that I haven't really learned anywhere else. I pick up things from different places and events and people across on my journey, my travels, and I make videos about it to share with you guys so that you guys could, hopefully be healthier, and the world could be a healthier place because of it. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode with Matt, want more videos with Matt, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, please be sure to share this video with somebody else that you guys could think it could help, so that they could be a better person on the planet. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes that come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 600 episodes at this time, including that amazing episode where I compare Matt's freeze-dried durian with fresh durian. And I think I chose the freeze-dried durian over the fresh durian. Link down below for that. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables and be a good person. That's always the best.